Pause for a second, not to think, but to sense. Right now, something far more important than information is trying to reach you, a shift. One that doesn't just explain your reality, but repositions you inside it. You're not stuck because you're missing tools or strategies. You're stuck because your inner world has been repeating the same frequency, over and over again without your awareness. That's what's about to change. This isn't another lesson. It's a mirror, a different way of seeing what's been, shaping every result, every delay, every breakthrough, from the inside out. Most people chase answers outside of themselves, but everything starts from within. The pattern, the resistance, the flow, it's all responding to the inner tone you've been broadcasting. Right now, you're not being asked to believe anything, you're being invited to observe. Just notice how your world has been reflecting your emotional state more than your intentions. Think about how often you've tried to force progress, push outcomes, or fix situations. All that effort, and still the results didn't match the work. But have you ever noticed the opposite? Moments when things just clicked, without effort, without planning, when life met you halfway and everything unfolded with grace. That contrast isn't random. It's revealing something. When your inner state is aligned, external reality doesn't resist. It responds. Here's what's wild. Most people live their entire lives never realizing this connection. They think reality is something to conquer. But what if it's actually something that mirrors? And if that's true, then change doesn't start by doing more. It begins by becoming more aware of the energy behind your thoughts, your choices, and your reactions. You don't have to fix everything. You just have to see clearly. That's the real shift. Reality isn't punishing you or withholding anything. It's simply matching the tone you carry most consistently. So for the next few minutes, forget the idea that you need to figure everything out. Just let yourself be curious. Drop the need to control. Let go of urgency. Instead, lean into observation. Because the truth isn't hiding. It's been quietly reflected back to you this whole time. What if all the effort you thought you needed to make was never the key? What if it was always about returning to the place inside you that's already whole and letting that version of you lead? You don't need to fight for clarity. It arrives when the noise fades. And the noise, it's not the world. It's the constant effort to make things happen before you're in alignment. So give yourself this moment fully. Not to try, not to force, but to shift how you see. Because once your perception changes, so does everything else. Think back to a time when you wanted something with everything in you. You obsessed over it, visualized it, made plans, took action, and still, nothing. No matter how much effort you poured in, it felt like the goal kept moving further away. Like you were chasing something that didn't want to be caught. Now contrast that with another moment, one where something wonderful happened out of nowhere. No stress, no strategy. You weren't even focused on it, and yet it came, easily. Naturally, how is it that the things we want the most often resist us, while the things we're not even trying to get seem to fall into our laps? That's not just luck, it's a signal. A clue pointing to something deeper most people overlook. You see, intense wanting often hides a subtle truth. You don't believe you have it. And when your energy screams lack, life simply agrees. On the other hand, when you're relaxed, detached, and not desperately hoping for an outcome, your inner state sends out a different signal, one of ease, one of trust. And that signal? That's what draws things toward you. It's not about caring less, it's about no longer needing proof to feel secure. You stop obsessing over the outcome because, deep down, you've already decided it's yours. That's when things change. Most people assume they're not working hard enough, or that the timing isn't right. But what if the issue isn't the effort, it's the energy behind it? If you're moving from a place of anxiety, fear, or urgency, you're broadcasting doubt. And the more you chase, the more you confirm that you're without. But when you stop pressing, when you ease into certainty without needing control, you create space. You allow instead of force. And in that space, momentum builds, quietly, steadily. The shift isn't in the action, it's in the state behind the action. And that state is built through clarity, not control. Look closely. Your life is full of moments that reflect this dynamic. Times when your grip blocked the flow, and others when surrender brought the breakthrough. What if that contrast was never meant to frustrate you, but to teach you how reality actually works? It's not random, it's responsive. And the sooner you stop seeing outcomes as rewards for effort and start recognizing them as mirrors of belief, the sooner you begin to experience real transformation. Because the truth is, the difference between stuck and flow isn't what you're doing, it's how you're being while doing it. Let's clear something up. Attraction isn't about wishing harder. It's not about positive thinking, vision boards, or repeating affirmations until you're blue in the face. Attraction is about alignment. It's a silent agreement between your internal state and the external world. One that happens whether you're aware of it or not. You don't pull things into your life because you desire them. You attract based on what you consistently embody. That's the difference most people miss. Wanting something intensely often pushes it away, because underneath that wanting is a message, I don't have it. And that message is loud. The universe, or reality if you prefer, doesn't respond to your words. It tunes into your emotional truth, your energetic posture. If you're constantly checking, waiting, hoping, then you're reinforcing lack. You're sending out a frequency of it's not here. And guess what? Life mirrors exactly that. But the moment you shift your identity, the moment you begin to carry yourself like someone who already has what they want, everything changes. You're no longer looking for signs. You're no longer doubting or second-guessing. You simply move as if it's done. And reality starts rearranging itself to catch up with that version of you. That's not magic. That's coherence. You can't fake this. Pretending to be calm while secretly obsessing won't work. The signal you send is always the one you actually feel, not the one you're trying to project. So the goal isn't to force belief, it's to settle into certainty so deeply that needing disappears. When you're truly aligned, you don't need to grasp, you're not chasing outcomes. You become the kind of person who effortlessly receives because you're no longer vibrating with resistance. This is the heart of real manifestation, not thinking positively while feeling lack, but feeling fulfilled before the evidence arrives. It's not about tricking the system. It's about becoming so steady in who you are that life reflects that back, consistently, unmistakably. So stop chasing signs and start tuning into your state. If your inner world is off, the outer world will echo that. When you shift the signal, you shift the outcome, and that's how attraction really works. Most people think letting go means giving up. That you stop caring, stop wanting, stop believing. But that's not what real detachment is. True non-attachment isn't about indifference. It's about confidence so strong that you no longer need reassurance. You no longer check your phone every hour hoping for a sign. You're not obsessing over whether it's working. You've decided it's done. That shift isn't forced, it's felt. It's the difference between pretending to be okay and genuinely knowing you're already aligned with what's coming. When you stop clinging, things begin to move. Not because you quit, but because you created space. Space for life to deliver. Space for outcomes to find you. Space for resistance to dissolve. Neville Goddard wasn't talking about hope when he said to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. He was talking about identity, about being the person who already has what they once desired. And when you live from that place, you stop interfering. You're not trying to prove anything. You're not waiting for validation. You don't need updates from the universe. That quiet confidence is powerful. It sends a signal that says, I'm no longer trying, I'm already there. When you believe something is yours, your behavior changes. You're not desperate. You're not searching. You're calm, grounded, present, and it's from that energy that life responds. What blocks most manifestations isn't the size of the dream. It's the tension tied to needing it to happen right now. That neediness clouds the frequency. It adds noise to the signal. And instead of receiving, you start chasing again. But when you loosen your grip, when you trust the process without constantly measuring the progress, everything flows more naturally. You're not detaching from the desire. You're detaching from the pressure. Big difference. You still care. You still envision. You still align. But you're not trying to push the river. You've stepped into the energy of already done. And from that place, you stop blocking what's been trying to reach you all along. Letting go isn't losing power. It's unlocking it. Doing nothing is one of the most misunderstood concepts when it comes to creating change. People hear that and assume it means giving up, walking away, or becoming passive. But in truth, doing nothing is a powerful choice when it comes from alignment, not avoidance. You're not stepping back because you've lost hope. You're stepping back because you've stopped interfering. You've realized that constant checking, overanalyzing, and obsessing aren't helping. They're creating friction. They're keeping what you want just out of reach. When you pause, not from defeat but from certainty, you allow things to unfold. You stop clogging the process with pressure. And that space you create, that's where flow happens. You can't force timing. You can't manipulate outcomes into existence. The more you try to push, the more resistance you create. But when you rest in knowing, you're no longer working against yourself. You're not acting out of fear. You're not reacting to the lack of results. You're holding your position with quiet trust. There's a massive difference between hoping something works out and knowing it's already in motion, even when you can't see it. Most people confuse effort with effectiveness. They think if they're not doing something constantly, they're falling behind. But reality doesn't work that way. Movement doesn't always look like action. Sometimes the most powerful shift happens internally, in how you respond to silence. Can you sit in the unknown without panicking? Can you let the desire breathe without smothering it with worry? That's the real work. Not chasing, but allowing, because trying to control everything is exhausting, and it doesn't bring what you want closer. It keeps you locked in the energy of lack. But when you choose stillness with intention, you signal trust. You're saying, I've done my part. Now I'll let life do its part. And in that moment, the tension breaks. Things begin to align behind the scenes. Doors open without force. Answers arrive without searching. So the next time you're tempted to act out of panic, pause instead. That pause might be the exact space needed for everything to fall into place. Doing nothing isn't failure. It's a decision to stop disrupting what's already unfolding in your favor. You don't need to do more. You need to shift how you're being while you wait. Real manifestation isn't about hustle. It's about alignment. And there are 3 pivotal changes that make everything click. 1. Stop the chase the moment. You're chasing something. You're already sending out the message that it's missing. Every time you think, why hasn't it arrived yet, you reinforce its absence. That energy of lack becomes the signal the world reflects back. If it was already yours, you wouldn't be checking, stressing, or searching. You'd be calm. You'd be rooted in certainty. So ask yourself, how would you move if what you wanted was already part of your life? You'd be relaxed, clear, confident. That's the energy that magnetizes, not the desperation, not the push. Stepping into that energy and staying there is what begins to turn the tide. 2. Stay in alignment. It's one thing to stop chasing. It's another to hold the frequency of already having when nothing seems to be changing. At first you might feel empowered, you believe, you trust. But then, a day passes, doubt shows up. That's the critical moment. Because most people collapse there. They slip back into searching, hoping, wondering again. But if you can stay grounded even when the outside hasn't caught up yet, that's when real power builds. Make peace with not knowing how or when. Let go of the mental countdown. That surrender isn't weakness, it's leverage, because true belief doesn't rush the process. It doesn't need instant proof. It simply continues, steady and clear. 3. Embrace the silence. There's always a space between your inner decision and outer confirmation. That gap is not a punishment. It's part of the process. Think of it as the space where reality reorganizes itself to match the new signal you're sending. Most people interpret that silence as failure, but it's not. It's preparation. Your only job in that space? Hold the state. Keep showing up as if it's done, even when your senses haven't caught up yet. This is where most fall off. They question the stillness, they panic. But the ones who stay grounded unlock the flow, so when nothing seems to be happening, don't push, don't doubt, don't scramble for signs. Just remain still, centered in knowing. Because what you Want isn't far, and it's aligning quietly, precisely. These 3 steps, stop chasing, stay aligned, and honor the gap, are simple, but they change everything. You can say all the right things, set the clearest goals, and repeat affirmations daily. But if your emotional core is out of sync, the outcome won't budge. Reality doesn't move according to what you say. It mirrors how you feel. You might be visualizing abundance while vibrating anxiety. You could be speaking confidence while radiating doubt. And in that conflict, the emotion always wins. Your energy is like a broadcast. It sends out a signal long before any words leave your mouth. That's what life tunes into. So if deep down, you're still questioning, still hoping, still needing, even silently, that's the real message being received. The universe doesn't need language. It responds to your baseline frequency. Think of the moments when things flowed. Were you tense? Probably not. You were light, unbothered. You weren't trying to force anything. You were simply being. That emotional state, relaxed, open, trusting, is magnetic. Now think of the opposite. Times when you tried everything but nothing moved. Most likely you were impatient, overthinking, tense. That energy creates resistance, even if your words sound perfect. This is why trying to trick the system with words doesn't work. You can't fake alignment. True change happens when your inner state and your outer expression match, when what you feel inside is congruent with what you're projecting. That's why the most powerful shift isn't mental, it's emotional. You don't have to force belief. You nurture it. You create small internal shifts that slowly replace fear with trust. It's not about being happy all the time. It's about anchoring in certainty, even when evidence hasn't appeared. When you stop reacting emotionally to the absence of what you want, you shift the entire dynamic. That calm, settled energy sends a different message. It's already mine. I'm not waiting. I'm living as if it's done. And that's the state that gets reflected back. So next time you set an intention, don't just focus on what you say. Tune into how you actually feel underneath the surface, because reality doesn't respond to your voice. It responds to your vibration. The more you chase, the further it runs. But the moment you release the grip, something strange happens. Life starts to lean in. Receiving isn't about convincing, it's about becoming. The more you align with what you seek, the less you need to reach for it. That's when flow begins. You've done the inner work, you've shifted your energy. You've stopped chasing, held your state, and made peace with the silence. Now the final key is simple but powerful. Do nothing, not out of laziness, but out of certainty. This isn't apathy, it's presence. It's a quiet knowing that everything is already moving in your direction. Most people break right here. They feel the silence and panic. They think nothing is happening. But under the surface, everything is rearranging. Reality needs space to catch up with your new frequency. If you fill that space with worry, you interrupt the process. But if you stay still, grounded, open, and you allow, and in that allowing, things start arriving, not through force, not through obsession, but naturally, like they were always meant for you. This is the sweet spot where alignment meets timing, where energy meets opportunity, where what you've been holding in your inner world finally shows up in your outer one. No more striving. No more begging the universe for signs. You're not waiting, you're receiving. And the beauty of this state is that once you reach it, you'll never chase again. Because now you know how it really works. The things you want the most don't come when you're desperate for them. They come when you've stopped needing proof. When you stop pushing, life starts responding. Effortlessly. So instead of asking, when will it come? Ask yourself, am I ready to stop interrupting what's already mine? Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't something at all, it's nothing.